Are you having trouble making sales and getting new clients? And another question is, are the ads, social media campaigns, all of those kinds of launches campaigns that you're creating, are they tanking? Are they getting you nowhere? There is a reason for that. And I'm going to let you know that it has absolutely nothing to do with the product or service that you are selling. So, on today's Tea Time tip, marketing for busy entrepreneurs. Have you got your tea? Here we are. I got my tea. I'm going to be focusing on another area of the marketing plan that I shared a while ago, a few times ago. I gave you all of the different blueprints for a basic marketing plan. And so today I'm going to share and explain what the real culprit is if you are lacking in sales. I just want to let you know that I am Susan Friesen with eVision Media. I have a web development online digital marketing firm here in Abbotsford, BC. It is a cloudy day today, and I'm here to help you figure out the online, complicated, overwhelming, sometimes very frustrating world that we live in. As you might remember, in a previous Tea Time Tip show, I talked about creating a marketing plan, just the marketing plan basics. And the last show that I did 2 weeks ago helped you determine your brand positioning. And so what we're going to do today is I'm going to dive in to properly, notice the word properly, defining your ideal client. And I say that because a lot of people don't really do this process properly. They're not quite doing the due diligence. And actually, I should ask, comment below, like, do you really truly understand who your ideal target market is? Or do you think you do, but you're not really sure? Or maybe you're thinking, well, yeah, my target market is women from the ages of 20 to 60, and they all love yoga. And so if that's all you've got as far as defining who your ideal target market is, then stick around, because there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more involved in that exercise that will give you a much more better idea of who it is that you want to be bringing in and attracting into your realm. When we think about, defining our target market, it's actually one of a business owner's, a marketer's most critical steps in that marketing plan process. It's a very, very important task. And it serves as the foundation for all of the elements of your marketing strategy, from how you develop that marketing strategy and how you name your products and services, right down to the marketing channels that you will use to promote them on. And so without knowing this information, you are kind of like, throwing spaghetti on a wall. So this critical step of a marketing plan is often overlooked, like I said, and it's often done incorrectly. So today I'm going to cover all of the areas you need to define in order to get a true picture of who you should be marketing to. And really, at the end of the day, successful marketing really does rely on knowing who it is that you're marketing to. So if brand positioning, like we talked about last time, can make or break your business, not knowing who your ideal target market correctly is will cost you a lot of time, money, and grief. So we want to alleviate you from that worry, right? Basically, at the end of the day, we need to understand what group of people are most likely to purchase our product, program, or service. And I say group because I do know that a lot of people teach, you got to have your avatar, you got to visualize a single person who represents your target market, which works. So you can either do a single person who is kind of the overall representation of this group of people, or we also want to address a specific group of people and understand not only who they are, what makes them up, which I'll describe a little bit more in a bit, but also we have to understand why. Why should they buy from you, and what do they stand to gain from it? Because if you don't understand that, then you don't know what your marketing message should be, right? We have to create a compelling marketing message to help them decide whether or not your product or service is exactly what they have been looking for. And so often I'm asked, or often I'll get a response, well, I sell to anybody who's breathing. And you may laugh, but there is subconsciously even sometimes that thought that we don't want to kind of niche ourselves down and only sell to this one small group of people. And so there's that, that feeling of lack, and, I'm going to, get myself right out of the market because I'm only marketing to this one group of people. And so I want to be able to sell to anybody and everybody who's willing to buy from me, right? And so the premise that as long as they're breathing really is not at all a solution. And so the more that you understand that concept, and the more that you understand how important it is to define that group of people, the more clear and concise of a marketing message that you will have, and also too, with all of this investigation that you're doing, the more that you understand the solution that you are providing this group of people, the more clear of that marketing message can be that will compel them to buy from you and not get their needs met elsewhere. And so this means that you can take specific problems and specific challenges and that only relate to this group of people specifically. And then you want to write your marketing message that will, that they will relate to. So you can create a story, you can create a whole marketing message around that problem, that specific problem that only this group of people are experiencing, the problem or the challenge or the need. Like we're not always, solving this major catastrophe problem, right? Sometimes what we're offering is a life betterment, or something functional. And so always keep that in mind too. When I talk about problems or challenges or needs, it's kind of all encompassing as far as why is it that you are even creating or selling your product. It has to be fulfilling some sort of a need. Otherwise, nobody's willing to buy it, right? And so as an example, if your target market is mothers, say, and you can focus all of your marketing messages, whether that's social media, your blog posts, your article writing, ad campaigns, all of that kind of stuff, all of your marketing messages will be specifically applied to young mothers. The life that a young mother is living is different from that of a grandmother or somebody who doesn't have kids at all, right? Somebody who doesn't have kids at all may not relate at all to the life of a young mother because they don't know what it's like to feel having young kids running around. And so your marketing message can specifically address that kind of a situation, that kind of an environment that young mom is living in. And you, in your marketing message, you can specifically talk about that so that they can understand that you empathize with them, that you can relate with them, that you understand what they're going through. But if you were trying to make your marketing message to include everybody, like all women, then you can't be that specific with your marketing message. And so you might as well stick to that specific marketing message and that one niche group, and you will get way, way, way more response because you're talking directly with them and their message instead of being forced to be global and very generic with your marketing message. And one thing to be careful about is that you might be thinking, oh, well, that applies to them. My business is different. My business is unique. My business has, different things about it. So that's not how I can be defining my target market. Sorry, but no, there's no such thing as a unique business where this formula doesn't work. So talk to me. I actually do mentoring with many clients to help them with this, we help them with their marketing plan and help them with their marketing message and define their ideal target market, define their brand positioning. So if you need help with this, if this is something that you really struggle with, just let me know. Send me a message and let's chat and see if we're a good fit so that I can work with you on that. Yeah. So at the end of the day, you want to be telling stories like, that will relate to that specific group and what their environment is like, what they're going through, what their life looks like. And if you don't do that, if you do try, like going back to the young mom example, if you try to sell to young moms and to non-parents, two things could happen. The first thing is that, like I said, your marketing message will be too diffused. No one will relate to what you're talking about, and you're casting too wide of a net. And then you end up becoming just, another fish in a huge ocean full of fish who are competing for that same market. The other thing that could happen is that like I said before, the non-parents won't relate to the marketing message because they're unfamiliar with the challenges and situation that a young mom would be in. So for those of you who are saying, well, that's what I want to avoid. Well, that's okay. Like you want to focus in on the young moms. Your target market is not the non-parents. And of course, I'm talking in my example situation here, right? Not that everybody is targeting young moms. It's really best to focus on that one group, and you will get far better results and more conversions because they can be very specific to your needs. They're looking for that specific solution to their needs. And so it's important to understand that what they are looking for, right? That you have to get into their heads and find out what it is that they're looking for. What is it that you are providing for them? So someone who is experiencing health problems, as an example, will be looking for a solution to that problem, even though the cause might be being overweight. So this is really important too, is that you have to understand not what the solution is from the prescription or the doctor's diagnosis perspective is. You need to find out what they are looking for. What solution are they looking for? So really, we're looking at the symptoms. What symptoms are they experiencing? So if somebody is experiencing, health issues, then that's what they're going to be looking for a solution for, somebody to help them with this specific health issue. Even though you, as a health coach, if you are a health coach, might know that, well, it's because of their eating habits, it's because they're overweight, it's because of this, it's because of that. But they don't know that. The patient doesn't know that. They're knocking on the doctor's door saying, "Doctor, I have all these symptoms." And they're coming to you, the doctor, for the solution. So you can't be promoting the solution. You have to be promoting the symptoms. Keep with that analogy, you're not selling weight loss. You're selling a solution to the health problem that they are experiencing. So let me know. Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense, okay? Now, the first thing that we want to do is first ask who needs or wants your product or service. Okay, so I mentioned that right at the beginning. You have to know who it is that actually needs or wants your product or service. If you don't know who that is, then you're really lost, right? You can't just be randomly hoping that somebody's going to catch your, take your bait off of your hook if you got bait for trout and you're in a salmon stream, then it's not going to work, right? So take a look at what group of people are more likely to purchase your product or service, whatever it is that you're offering. And then ask yourself who have the most to lose if these problems or issues or, needs are not met. So it's not just who's looking for it, but who has the most to lose, who needs it the most. So I talked about this, I don't know if it was in the last one or when we were doing the marketing plan one, I talked about this, is that there has to be enough of a need, enough of a urgency for them to actually want to spend money Because at the end of the day, if they're not going to spend money on what you offer, then you're just giving, you're wasting your time. So you have to narrow down, these people would really benefit from what I offer. These people really need what I offer and they're willing to spend money. You see what I mean? We're kind of narrowing things down and really helping define what that group of people look like. Then you want to take a look at this group, and they might be differentiated a little bit differently in other ways. So it's not just based on the needs, but there's also different ways that we can differentiate them, such as are these people in a specific industry? Like maybe you cater to nothing but real estate agents or insurance agents or gardeners. So that could be a factor too. It doesn't mean it has to be, but it could be. You could find your niche within a specific industry. And then you can think about, do they have a hobby or a passion, something in common that you can relate to that smaller group that we just defined? Okay, these are the kinds of people with that particular need, but now we need to get into their heads. Now we need to understand what's their lifestyle like, what kind of commonalities can we find amongst them. And so, for instance, are they all golfers? Do they all go, have a passion for swimming? Do they all have a passion for the outdoors? Are they all book lovers? Are they all entrepreneurs? But not just entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs, that's a gazillion people right now. So you have to narrow it down into something a little bit more of a niche than just entrepreneurs. But that's a good start. Stay-at-home moms could be one. Are they stay-at-home moms? Are they entrepreneurs? Are they small business owners? Are they C-level executives? Are they managers? Are they employees? Are they blue collar workers? So that is very, very specific areas that you would want to focus on. Like if you were focusing on entrepreneurs versus a C-level executive, two completely different mindsets there, completely different challenges, completely different needs. Well, I shouldn't say completely different needs, but their needs might be defined differently. They might have different goals and different things in mind that, for why they would need your product or service. So let me know if that makes sense as well. And so that's kind of where we're kind of defining from a global perspective, who is it that is primed and ready to purchase your product or service. And then from that group, now we get an idea of what their demographics are. So this is probably a term that you've heard before, where we have the demographics and the psychographics. And so the demographics is understanding what their age group is and or what stage of life that they're in. So marketing to a millennial, as an example, is going to be much, much different than marketing to a baby boomer or a Generation Xer, right? The language is going to be completely different. The story that you tell is going to be completely different. And so you want to make sure that, if you've determined that, millennials are definitely the ones who are primed and ready, need my product, or desperately want to take advantage of it, then you have to talk the millennial language. You can't talk your own language if you're not a millennial. So that's something to think about. What's going on for them? What would they be looking for in your languaging that would resonate with them to make them think that, yes, this person's got it. They understand what I'm going through, and I know that I've got the right person here. You can also be looking at the income bracket. And, it's not as if you have to know exactly, especially when you're looking at this from a group perspective. Obviously, everybody's going to have different incomes, but you can look at it from low income, middle income, high income, ultra wealthy income, like the affluent. So those groups also have different marketing messages. They relate differently. So your low income. So if you look at, say, Walmart as an example, Walmart tends to market to more of the lower to mid-level group of people, right? Price is their thing. That's their driving factor, their price point, low prices, which appeals to a lower income group of people. And so then on the opposite end of the scale, if you have discovered that the affluent really needs your product or services, like say you're an interior designer, where you want to work with the affluent, work with these, big, huge, wonderful homes and really have extravagant budgets to deal with, then their message is going to be completely different. Their need from you is going to be completely different as well, as opposed to maybe if you're an interior designer, but you want to work with the middle income people, their need and your message to them is going to be quite different. It's so important to understand this, because at the end of the day, it's all of this work is going to culminate into a marketing message that will relate to your target market. And then there's the geographics too. Like if you are a interior designer, then obviously there's going to be a geographic area that you can work within, unless you are working with the affluent and in the budget, you can be flown and all expenses paid to the other side of the country to work on their development project. But usually you need to work within your geographics. So define what those geographic borders are. And then when, like, for instance, if you're doing your ad campaigns, you want to make sure that you're only targeting people who live within that geographic area. Otherwise, you're wasting money if your ads go to a wider range of people. Oh, and also too, about the geographics, it's not just the location, but it's also like if you're thinking, well, I'm a coach, I have a service-based industry, I can work anywhere in the world. Well, no, you can't. Think about it. Unless you know every single language that's on this planet, you can't work with everybody on this planet. So if you are an English-based person, then you are only going to be looking at other English-based countries, right? So that, it may feel like a given, but it isn't. Like when you're doing your marketing, you want to keep that in mind, especially when you're targeting ads. And then also think in terms of, okay, even if a country is English-based, and I don't know, maybe somebody can think of an example right now, but work with me on this, is that there's different cultures involved and different value systems, different needs. So here in Canada or in the States, like a need might be very specific to a young mom, which might be completely different to a young mom in India. And there's a lot of English speaking people in India. So think about that too. So, instead of thinking this wide, huge net, think in terms of what's realistically the kind of people that you are going to work with. I have one client who she is an expat living in China, and her target market is other expats and helping them. And so, you can get very creative as far as figuring out, what that group of people are and really narrow down. A lot of people could benefit from what that client offers, but she's chosen to focus just on expats because that's what she relates to. And that's what she knows that her ideal client will relate to her as well. The other part is the psychographics. So we figured out the demographics, we figured out the needs, and now we go into the psychographics. And the psychographics means their state of mind. What state of mind are these people in? Are they worried? Are they anxious? Are they in a celebratory mood? Or, are they about to celebrate something, that they need you to hire for? Maybe you're an event planner. So, it's not always worried and anxiousness, right? Or they could be frustrated, they could be confused, they could be in fear. Like there's all, a whole wealth of emotions. So you need to understand what that state of mind that they're in and how that can relate to the product or service that you're selling. What state of mind are they in? And remember that the more magnified that state of mind is, the more apt they are to actually spend money. Okay. Because so again, it's not us determining what their need is, it's them needing to determine their own need and how desperately do they need it in order to spend money and hire you or buy your stuff. Okay. Big difference. Otherwise, they might be just taking whatever freebie that you have and leaving it at that because it's not enough of an urgent need for them to actually spend money. They're more than happy to take your free stuff, but you got to get them to the next level. So aside from, state of mind, then from there, you need to be clear on what it is that they are actually worried or anxious about. What is causing that state of mind? What are they celebrating? Why are they celebrating? What is frustrating them? Why are they being frustrated? So all of those key elements can go into your marketing message then, right? When you get right into their heads and really understand what's going on for them. And, at the end of the day, you just really need to be crystal clear on how your offering can be the solution that they're looking for. What we want is for them to be in front of one of your marketing messages, either an ad or a Facebook post or a social media post, or go to your landing page and say to themselves, oh my goodness, I have found it. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Where's the buy now button? Where do I sign up? That at the end of the day, that's what we want to accomplish, right? And we can't just accomplish that by guessing or making assumptions. Making assumptions are really going to throw us out. And we also can't do that by just going with our own gut instincts, like with the assumption that my experience, what I know, is the same as your experience of what you know. That's a really bad assumption to make. And so, but oftentimes, like in saying that, oftentimes we are our own ideal client. There are obviously exceptions to that rule. So you do have yourself to tap into, but don't just count only on yourself. And if you're not sure on how to figure all that out, that's what I do with mentoring. That's how I help people, figure all that part out and give you lots of homework too to help you figure that out, and some research and all that kind of stuff. And like I said right at the top, if you don't really pay attention to all of the minuscule details on here, and also I highly recommend that you check out our last Tea Time tip where I talked about brand positioning, because it's all tied in, right? And even also check out the one I did previous to that, and I'll make sure I put the links below. The one previous to that was that overall marketing plan, because without all of this foundation in place, then you really are just scrambling. You're just running around like a chicken with your head cut off, because you don't have that foundation in place to really have a clear idea of what you're offering and for the people that who need it the most. That's the basics of coming up with your ideal target market. There's more that can be done in this process. I only have so much time with my Tea Time tips, but this is a really good basics. It gives you a lot of information, a lot of starting point to start off with. And like I said, if you need help and to go through this more in depth, that's what I do in my mentoring. And then the bonus is that not only can I help you with the strategy and help you with that brand positioning, but we can also help with the implementation of it. Now we know exactly what your brand messaging should be, and we can help write the copy and create the campaigns and do the AdWords and stuff like that for you. So you can kind of keep everything all under one house who truly understands your brand positioning and who your target market is. So that's it for today's Tea Time tip. I so appreciate you showing up, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye for now.